American soul R&B group Toni, sometimes referred to as the Tonies, composed of D'wayne Patrice Wiggins, his brother Charles Ray Wiggins, also known as Raphael, and their cousin Timothy Christian Riley, was born and bred in the Bay, Oakland, California to be exact. Both D'wayne and Raphael sang lead vocals and played guitar and bass, respectively. Timothy, the more low-key of the trio, shined on drums and keyboards. Surprisingly, no one in the group is actually named Toni. D'wayne was the one to come up with the group's name that really started off as a joke. He used to sport a particular style of dress and hairdo, courtesy of the curly kit. The teachers at school took notice and began referring to him as the sophisticated Italian man he looked like, giving him the moniker of Toni. Then, one day, when the guys were at a wedding reception about to perform, the MC asked them what their name was so he could properly introduce them. They didn't have one, so they just said Toni, and it stuck. D'wayne first picked up a guitar at the age of 10, and together with his family, sang, wrote songs, and developed his love of music throughout his childhood. They were officially on their way when they signed their first deal with Wing Records, a subsidiary of Mercury Records, in the late 80s. Their debut album, titled Who, was released in 1988 and produced several hits. The biggest of them all was their debut single, Little Walter, which shot all the way to #1 on the R&B chart. Born Not to Know, Baby Doll, and For the Love of You also captured top 10 spots on the same chart. Their follow-up, The Revival, came 2 years later. The album created even bigger hits with The Blues, It Never Rains in Southern California, and Whatever You Want. However, it was the single called Feels Good that finally gave the group their first top 10 hit on the Hot 100.
And you know it feels good, know that you're by my side, it feels good.
Before considering a follow-up album, the band recorded several songs for film soundtracks, including Me and You for coming-of-age hood drama film Boys in the Hood, House Party, I Don't Know What You Come to Do for comedy film House Party 2, and Waiting on You for romantic drama film Poetic Justice. After the release of their third album, 1993's Son of Soul, the group decided to take a break and pursued individual projects. All three worked on songwriting and production for other recording artists during the band's hiatus, including R&B stars D'Angelo and Vogue, Karen White, Tevin Campbell, and hip-hop group A Tribe Called Quest. Also around this time, Raphael adopted the surname Saadiq, meaning man of his word in Arabic. He says he did it to be his own individual and separate himself from his brother, since people were constantly getting them confused for one another. He also released his first solo single, Ask of You. It made it into the top 20 on the Hot 100 and appeared on the 1995 soundtrack for the drama film Higher Learning. Toni reunited and released their last studio album to date, House of Music, in 1996. Only 2 singles were released, Thinking of You and Let's Get Down, but they both did well on the R&B chart, making it into the top 5. In 2003, Toni, minus Raphael, served as guest artists on Alicia Keys' second album, The Diary of Alicia Keys, on the single Diary. The song gave the group their first top 10 hit in over a decade and a Grammy nomination. D'wayne would be the first of the trio to drop a solo album. His, titled Eyes Never Lie, was released in 2000. Raphael became a much sought-after R&B producer and decided to focus more of his time scoring hits for other artists. D'wayne and Timothy then decided to keep the Tonies going by introducing childhood friend, singer, songwriter, musician Amar Khalil as the new lead singer of Toni in 1998. Raphael's voice, though, wouldn't stay quiet for long. He, along with Don Robinson of R&B group En Vogue and Ali Shaheed Muhammad of hip-hop group A Tribe Called Quest, came together in 1999 to form the supergroup Lucy Pearl. They released their self-titled debut album the following year and had instant success with the singles Dance Tonight and Don't Mess With My Man. The former track also earned them a Grammy nomination. Then, Dawn abruptly left. She was ultimately replaced by another R&B singer by the name of Joy. The new lineup released a couple of songs that went nowhere. Lucy Pearl was then no more. Raphael went on to release 5 solo albums of his own between 2002 and 2019. After meeting actress, writer, and producer Issa Rae, he got the opportunity to be the music composer on the popular HBO show she co-created, co-wrote, and stars in, Insecure, in 2017. 2019 would be a year that provided some very eye-opening information for fans of Toni. That summer, Raphael sat down with New York's Power 105.1 radio morning show, The Breakfast Club, and revealed that he never wanted to leave the group. The real reason was because of other issues, like money, and other people's behavior, like the record executives, that pushed him in that direction. One exec in particular thought he could easily replace Raphael and gave lead singer from fellow R&B group Mint Condition, Stokely Williams, a call to offer him the job. He didn't go for it. Around the same time, he also sat down with Sway Calloway on his SiriusXM show Sway in the Morning and made a surprise announcement that he would be getting back together with D'wayne and Tim to make a new Toni album. In November, the 3 original members were supposed to come together for the first time in 15 years to perform at the KBLX Bay Area reunion concert. Unfortunately, the concert ended up being canceled, but the group did show evidence of their rehearsal time on social media. By far, the most eventful moment of them all happened when a documentary titled Loyalty No Royalty, The Breakup of Toni, was released. The story is told and produced by the other 3 original members of the group. Yes, Toni was originally a 6-member group, not 3. The other 3 former members of the band revealed a lot of juicy, shocking, and heartbreaking tidbits of how the group came to be and the real reason they got pushed out. D'wayne, who was older and out of school, was doing his own thing in one part of town, while Raphael was in another part since they had different mothers. One day, he decided that he wanted to put a group together. So he, brother Raphael, cousins Tim, Elijah Baker, and Antron Hale, plus childhood friend Carl Wheeler, came together as the original incarnation of Toni. Things were moving along nicely until it was time to record their debut album. First, names of the people that should have been given songwriting credit were noticeably absent. Then, it became obvious that Carl, Antron, and Elijah weren't getting the money they should have when D'wayne, Tim, and Raphael were able to purchase homes and cars, and they couldn't. It was the beginning of the end. The next thing Elijah and Antron knew, they were fired, believing that if the main 3 could do their own family members like that, there's no telling what was about to come his way, so Carl up and left too. Childhood friend and guitar player John Jubu Smith would come into the picture to pick up the slack in 1990, right around the time when the group was completing their second album. Apparently, fences were mended, or at least mended enough, by 96, with Elijah and Carl as they rejoined the band to put out Toni's 4th and final album, House of Music. The 6 of them, including Jubu, surprisingly all appeared on the album cover, something that was never done before. Not long after the release of the album, though, the hammer would come down next on Raphael. According to the other band members, D'wayne and Tim got rid of him and invited Amar Khalil to take his place. He would serve as the lead singer for the group for the next 20 years. His reign would come to an abrupt end, though, after a show on New Year's Eve 2018. Tensions were high during the show itself, which wasn't a surprise to Amar, because he'd already felt the build-up prior. He sent out a carefully worded email to the group members and management about how he wanted to go about things moving forward. The reply he received was an electronic pink slip. Raphael's last solo project, his 5th studio album titled Jimmy Lee, was released in 2019. It's named after and inspired in part by his brother, who died of a heroin overdose. Today, music isn't the only thing Raphael has going on. He's also the co-founder of video game developer company IllFonic, and is currently working on a new Ghostbuster game to coincide with the release of the next installment of the supernatural comedy franchise. Producers of the documentary Loyalty No Royalty now have a lawsuit pending against the remaining members for fraud and theft of advance and royalty money earned before their firing. Only time will tell if they'll be able to recoup what they feel has been owed to them for the last 30 years. That album that Raphael said they wanted to do a couple of years ago didn't happen, but that hasn't stopped the Toni train from moving along. The current lineup consists of sole original member D'Wayne Wiggins, plus Dyson Tate Riley and Frank Stickums. They've continued to perform regularly and bring fans all the hits they know and love throughout 2021. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and comment. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you won't miss any future videos. See you next time.